That breaking news we're following. 4 people are dead, including the shooter, and 2 others hurt after a mass shooting at the Greenwood Park Mall Sunday.
We're just learning new information, too, that we're going to get to. Justin Kolar joins us first with a recap of what we know, and then I understand that we're just learning about a raid of the home of the shooter. Justin, let's get to you first.
Yeah, well, not only that, guys, but we also heard from the coroner's office, who will update us on names of the victims. That won't happen now, we know, until after 10 o'clock. They're still waiting on one of those victims' names, but it is a much quieter scene here this morning at the Greenwood Park Mall. We're actually across the street from where this all happened, as mall security still has that area under lock and key right now with some crime scene tape this morning. But again, this is an area which saw hundreds of people running out from the mall after a shooter opened fire inside that food court area just after 6 o'clock. And of course, Greenwood Police Chief Jim Eisen says officers responded very quickly, but a lawfully armed citizen with a handgun was the one who killed the shooter soon after those first shots were fired. Now, police tell us the shooter was an adult man who, acting alone, opened fire around 6 o'clock yesterday evening here at the Greenwood Mall, shooting innocent shoppers with a rifle, and he had several magazines of ammo ready to go along with that. Again, it was not police, but a law-abiding 22-year-old man from Bartholomew County who took down that shooter. And police say, had he not, it's very likely that more lives would have been lost. Now, we're joined this morning right now by Fox 59's Russ McQuaid. Russ, you were here last night, and now we know that you were active overnight in furthering this investigation at a police raid at the shooter's apartment. What do you know? What have you learned so far?
I've just returned from the apartment of the alleged 20-year-old gunman not far from the Greenwood Park Mall. I've knocked on the door there. There was no answer at his father's apartment. However, I was offered the opportunity. I did talk to some neighbors who told me between midnight and 3 o'clock this morning there was a raid at that apartment. That raid included SWAT teams, FBI, a bomb disposal unit. Many of the residents of the immediate apartment buildings were evacuated for up to 3 hours as they stood by and they watched the raid. We've got some video and some still photographs of what that raid looked like overnight. Now, we were able to discover the identity of the 20-year-old young man who is the suspected gunman and who is now dead in this investigation. However, that identity will not be released officially until the Greenwood Police Department releases that information, which may or may not come at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Additional information that we are also hoping to uncover at this 2 p.m. briefing would also include the contents of that backpack that was found in the restroom just off the food court. What was significant is Greenwood Police Chief James Eisen last night said no explosive devices were discovered in that backpack, but he wouldn't say what was discovered, if there was other additional information in that backpack. Also, we understand that the surveillance video system of the Greenwood Park Mall, Simon Properties, police have that in their possession and they have viewed that. And speaking with Chief Eisen last night, he told me he had no indication that this alleged gunman had any personal animosity or connection to any of the victims who died last night during that shooting at the mall. So there are several questions that need to be fleshed out. Sometimes when you do an investigation like this, it's almost as important what officials don't say as what they do say. As Justin Kolar mentioned, perhaps later this morning we will learn the identities of the victims from the Johnson County coroner. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, there is a Greenwood Police briefing at Greenwood Police headquarters, and I've just been to the apartment complex where the alleged gunman lived with his father. I've spoken with neighbors. You've seen the video, and perhaps coming up at 9:30 we'll be able to share with you some of that interview. Live at the Greenwood Park Mall with Justin Kolar, I'm Russ McQuaid, Fox 59 Morning News.
Hey, Russ, before you leave, can you answer one question? I know that at this point you cannot ID the gunman. You have had several hours where you've been able to do some research. Is there anything that you feel comfortable with on the record at this point, saying anything about him or anything you've learned without giving away his identity?
I have not been able to discover any criminal activity or charges or police reports specifically related to this young man's name. I have found his name in other court documents that would be indicative of hearing in what we would refer to as family court. We've also had our web team reaching out, doing some social media searches. Of course, if this young man was, as police say, armed with a long rifle and several magazines, there is no prohibition for anybody over the age of 18 in the state of Indiana to own such a weapon, and we believe that is what he was armed with when he was inside the Greenwood Park Mall at about 6 o'clock last night and opened fire up until moments later when a young man from Bartholomew County who was a legal handgun owner took that suspect down and ended that tragedy. Angela?